So hey guys, I wanted to come in and share something powerful that happened for me recently. And this is both powerful and a bit vulnerable for me to share. And the truth is that a couple weeks ago I relapsed and I watched porn. And started off as one night led to 2 nights, 2 nights led to 3 nights, and you probably can guess what happened. So it developed into that kind of compulsive behavior quite quickly. And in this video, what I want to talk about is why I relapsed and then how I got back on the right foot. Because, this is something that Ermo and I talk about in Controlled Mastery, and it's just so important. So I want to share my own story of how I relapsed a couple weeks ago, and then how I found myself getting back on the right foot, how I set the strong foundation. So what happened was, for me, is that I was traveling and kind of doing things that were off my normal habit routine. I was staying in hostels, and so I was going out more to clubs and hanging out with people and drinking a bit more, and drinking more than I like to. And I realized that what was going on is that the intention behind my drinking was not in alignment with who I want to be. And so I noticed that I was drinking because I wanted to have more courage so I could go out and talk to more people, more girls, obviously, for me. And that led to me slipping back into behavior of seeking validation outside of myself. So instead of feeling, confident in myself, instead of feeling, proud of who I am and kind of happy to be alone or with other people, I started seeking that validation. And when I didn't get it, what it did is it really kind of crippled my self-confidence and started causing a lot of anxiety. And also, going out and drinking and going to bars and parties, really revved up the fire inside. And so that caused me to relapse. And also I was on my own. So that's the other thing, is I didn't have my kind of support network. I didn't have my brothers. And I was on my own traveling. And that led me to relapse. And I thought, okay, just one night, I'm really feeling horny, I might as well just do it. And, what's the problem with one night? And that very quickly, as I mentioned, led into multiple nights. So it was a really tough time for me the last couple of weeks of dealing with that on my own. And, knowing that it wasn't what I wanted to be doing, I knew that I couldn't just let it get back into my life like that. But it was so hard for me to quit because, it feels so good, it's so easy, it really just pulls you out of, that temporary pain. It gives you temporary relief. And so it's so easy to just continue to indulge in it, to say, oh, it's not a big problem, I'll stop later. But it very quickly, just kept going on. And I realized that I needed to change. And so here's the thing that finally got me back on the right foot. Coming back to Thailand, and honestly, the thing that helped me out was seeing my brother Ermo and just being honest and saying, hey, I relapsed. I started watching pornography again. And I just want you to hold me accountable. And I just told him, and it was really hard for me to say it too, because, we can feel so much shame around it, like it's a personal failure. And so it was hard for me to tell him, but in that moment when I said it, it felt so good of just like releasing the shame, releasing the feelings of, oh, I'm a bad person, and just realizing like, oh, okay, I'm connecting with somebody who knows what it's like, to go through this. And so the most important thing, that Ermo and I talk about this all the time, is having, brotherhood or having connection. It doesn't have to be with, with a brother, it can be with a sister as well, but having that connection, someone you can go to, who you can be vulnerable with, is so powerful for overcoming these things that we slip back into subconsciously. Things that we are ashamed of, this kind of self-sabotaging behavior where we're getting into stuff that we're not proud of. But having that support, having brotherhood, community, connection, and being vulnerable is so important, because we all put on, this armor. We put on this face that says, oh, I've got this under control. I don't need help. I can figure out on my own. When the truth is, what we need is to be vulnerable with each other and say, hey, I need help with this. I need you to hold me accountable. I need you to check in with me, in a week and see how I'm doing. And that's so hard to do. I know it's so hard to do. I was talking with Ermo about it, and he said, if you ever need to call me, you can. And the thing is, I knew that I could. I knew that at any time I could have called him and said, hey, I'm struggling with this, I need help. But in my isolation, it was easier to just continue on the unwholesome path, continue on this path of kind of numbing myself and avoiding the pain and just diving into indulgence. And so I really want to say, if you're struggling with something, the best thing you can do is be vulnerable with the brotherhood. Be vulnerable with your connections and say, hey, I need some help. I need some accountability. Accountability is so important, so huge, because we can't really do this alone. You can try to do it alone, but it's really tough. We all know what it's like to be kind of struggling in silence. And so the power of having support, this is what the group that Ermo and I created is all about, this authentic self-mastery group, the controlled mastery. What it's about is having a safe space where you can be open about your problems. I'm trying to also be an example here. It's like, I'm a meditation teacher, whatever that means. And so for me, it was really hard to come in here and say, hey, I relapsed as well. But I hope that you seeing this will let you see that it's okay to show when you need help, to show when you slip up, when you get back into some behavior that you're not in alignment with. And so I encourage you. I know, we've got a group on Facebook, and some of you are in there, and some of you are really participating, and it can be easy to just go back to your own thing, to kind of hide away in the shadows and say, I can do this on my own, or I don't want to be vulnerable, I don't want to show my weakness. And this is something that gets said in like quotes, but it's really true, is that showing, the courage to show when you need help is one of the greatest strengths that you can have. Like a sign of someone who's really strong is someone who can admit when they need help. So if you relapse, if you get back into something, whether it's porn addiction, sex addiction, eating addiction, any sort of compulsive behavior, anything you need help with, find some accountability. And you can always message me, you can comment on these videos, you can send me a direct message, you can send me an email on my website. There's a lot of ways to reach out, and you can just say, hey, I'm struggling with this, I just wanted to tell somebody. And that really does a whole lot of help. Just to kind of being honest about what you're going through and having that connection really takes a lot of the burden off, because so much of the pain that we feel around this is from feeling like we're alone, like we're isolated, like we're the only one struggling with it. So I highly want to just encourage all of you out there, reach out to somebody, tell someone you need help. If you don't have anyone you can trust, you can always send me a message. So that's my story of relapsing and getting back on the right foot, and I hope it's helpful for you guys. So if you like this video, once again, please subscribe. It really helps me out, and give it a thumbs up, and join our Facebook group. It's a great group, a place where you can be vulnerable and connect with brothers, and we all know what it's like to go through that. So that's it for today. Signing off from Thailand. Peace out, y'all.